Welcome back, everybody. It's Soundbites, a part of the podcast where we're talking about the music, the culture, the internet, and how those three things intertwine to create the music culture that we have today. My name is Demar Grant, aka King Grant, aka Green Goblin, and I'm here with my esteemed co-host, co-creator, Adriel Smiley, aka AdrielSmiley.com, aka Mr. Smiley, aka Champion Scribe. Adriel, Diddy has been sentenced. This man is going away for 50 months, nearing 5 years. He is a person that's a story that we have been following for 2 years now, I think. Where some sex trafficking RICO case that I don't know if people listening to the podcast understand when people were getting hit with a RICO case, that's what they were hitting the mob with. And people were not getting out of it. It has like a 90-something% success rate for the crown, or not the crown. The crown is Canadian, but for the prosecution, it's like a 95% success rate. Diddy has somehow finagled, ducked, dived, dodged is probably the best way to describe it, is where he is getting 4 years and 2 months in prison. He was sentenced to that for the freak-offs, case involving the sex workers, violence, all that craziness. He is getting a term that is genuinely confusing to me. And I think for a lot of people that have been following this case, this story, just Diddy in general, are almost stunned by. 4 to 5 years is unbelievable considering the things that we found out about him.
Yeah, this is such a unique case just in general because this is a case where he's admitted to so much.
Right.
And I think that's something we don't usually see. Like he admitted to sexually assaulting Cassie, he admitted to, don't say violence against Cassie and other people in the case, but those were not the things he was charged with. And so you have this person now from a public figure standpoint who whether he's guilty of the racketeering and sex trafficking or not
Mm-hmm.
from the prosecution standpoint, we have video evidence of him doing some of these things that are pretty nefarious,
Mm-hmm.
and then as well them admitting in court that we just don't usually see someone be like, yeah, listen, sex trafficking, didn't do that, beating her,
Mm-hmm.
raping her, totally did it.
Mm-hmm.
That just doesn't happen. So this is such a unique case for that. In general, I want to give everyone the charges. Of course, he was acquitted of racketeering and sex trafficking on July 2nd, but convicted of two lesser counts of transporting former girlfriends for prostitution. I think that's the interesting part of this is that that's what he's convicted of in terms of all the things. You mentioned it before, 50 months in prison, fined $500,000, and then ordered 5 years of supervised release. This feels very, very light for the crimes. And one thing I will say that we're going to kind of learn as this goes along is how the public treats Diddy. We usually get to see a lot of communication from jail when it comes to public figures,
Right.
and he's in a situation where he's already been sentenced. I know with Young Thug over the past couple of years, when he was leading up to the case, we didn't really hear from him. Now that he's out and this case is over with,
Yeah.
we're getting every tape in the book. So interested to see how that goes with Diddy. The prosecutors had pushed for more than 11 years. That's what they
Mm-hmm.
wanted for the sentencing. The defense was asking for 14 months.
That's
That
outrageous.
outrageous. So when you say this is crazy, it is compared to what was being asked from the prosecution. But this is some sort of middle ground. If you go between 11 years and 14 months, some sort of middle ground, and he will receive credit for the over a year he's already served, which I know is standard practice. But for this, can we just change it a little bit? Just for this, so yeah, crazy that he's been sentenced. I think this is again such an odd precedent to set for cases of this nature. I don't know what this means for kind of cases like this going forward. I think the for me as an outsider, and again, I cannot give legal advice. I think that the prosecution really messed up with the RICO charge
Hmm.
part of it, and that because they couldn't prove the RICO, it had a lot of other things kind of fall to the wayside from this. So I'm interested to see how this goes going forward. Before we move on to, I want to say less sad news, but it's how much less sad is it really? Is what are your thoughts on this kind of going forward in terms of how Diddy will be talked about? Because my guess is he will be able to communicate with the outside world. He's it seems like at this point I think he's 55 now, so he'll come out and still be able to live a life, it seems like.
Hmm.
What are your kind of expectations of how he's going to be treated?
I I think it'll become like everything else in Western society, where there's like a line drawn down in the sand, and there's going to be a specific group of people being like, "Yo, he didn't do that shit. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, he did his time, so we're supposed to just totally, wash our hands of anything that he did in his past. He got convicted, he got sentenced, he did his time, and he's good in my books. He dropped, he's the reason why Biggie was a thing. Thus there's going to be that branch of people, and then there's going to be a branch of people being like, this is it. Like, this is the end of it for me. I'm done listening to his music. I don't want to be around him. I don't want to see him. He has a scarlet letter, right? And we've arrived in a space again in Western society. I don't even, I don't really talk like this on our pod, but we've arrived at a time and a space in Western society where that is a real thing. There's going to be a group of people who are just like, did his time, he's the reason why Biggie was a thing. Bad Boy Records super important to the culture, to the genre, all this type of stuff. He's back in. And then there's going to be a group of people where it's like he can never be more out. He can never even approach coming back in. So that's what I think is going to happen. That sounds like a cop out, but actually it's more of an actual just like a genuine analysis of what happens in our society today. So, and our music culture today. Um, Forever you'll always have stands. Forever you'll always have hangers on. Forever you're always going to have people who want to be there for the money or the status or whatever. So that's what I think is gonna happen.
He's going to be the test case. I think when this whole thing started, I brought up Michael Jackson and his trials, and I think this show basically happens over the internet. We talk a lot about what happens on the internet.
Hmm.
This is one of the cases where I think we have to take our internet eyes off of this. Let's kind of relegate into the fact that there are people who are not on the internet who are huge fans of Diddy who may not want to cancel him. They grew up with him. He's a part of what they like about hip hop. So I think there's going to be a large group of those people who are still huge Diddy fans who are kind of like, he's not dead to me. Let's move on to this beef we got going on. That is, I want to say beef of the year, and that is saying a lot because we've had some big beefs. Um, so this one is especially big. Cardi versus Nicki. Now, this beef goes back to 2017. Okay,
Mm.
Cardi and Nicki have been dropping subs to each other over and over again. I think Nicki started it with the idea of they're bringing in this girl to replace me. I know that was a lot of the tone when Cardi first came in the game with Bodak Yellow as a huge, huge hit. And she had this line on the Breakfast Club that I thought was so interesting, talking about her and Nicki's beef. And it's a line she has on that song with G-Eazy, No Limit, where she says, "Can you stop with all the subs? Bitch, I ain't Jared." First of all, hilarious line. Um, but she said people don't understand that I got beef with like 10 bitches still in the hood, and I still be in the hood. And it goes back to like she's like, I don't understand why you don't like me, but I'm not scared, which I think is where this whole thing kind of popped off.
Yeah, I think Cardi B versus Nicki Minaj I'm gonna be honest with you, almost feels manufactured to me just because Cardi released her album and then immediately afterwards sparks are flying. Maybe Nicki Minaj is just that jealous of everybody else, where she can't imagine anybody else getting shine during her era. Which I feel like
That's exactly what it is. Like,
her
let's
yeah.
call a spade a spade. Like, that's exactly what it is.
But I wouldn't even consider, I feel like this is not really her era anymore. Like I don't think that I don't know, she still exists, she's still in the league, but I wouldn't consider her the best player in the league if we're gonna bring it down to the sports analogy.
Hmm.
So her issue is just like, I mean, I feel like Nicki Minaj has an issue with everybody. She, for some reason, consistently brings Jay-Z into the argument. Um,
Yes.
she has that AI photo, or not even we can't even consider it a photo, the AI image of Jay-Z wearing a pink bob, which is like not funny. I feel like it's so interesting people who find AI photos who generate AI photos as like an own to people, like to own people and like think that it's funny. It's like it's not really. Like the whole point of memes is that it's like created by a person to be funny, like to have the skill or the mental, like the intelligence to make something funny like that. To resort to artificial intelligence kind of just shows that like you don't have anybody in your circle that can even do that. You can't do that yourself. Like you're resorting to the
Hmm.
machine. So I think that Nicki Minaj, I just you need to get over yourself a little bit here, and I just need Cardi B to avoid the bullshit. I think one of the sharpest lines that's come out of Cardi B in this beef was like, "Your son's favorite color is five." Um,
Yo.
that shit was the funny, like literally one of the funniest things I've
No, that
ever.
was a mic drop. I said,
Yeah.
Cardi, like you, it's like don't bring the kids into it, but that one
Oh
was
my God. That shit
the
was
crazy part.
so funny.
And here's where we're at because when Nicki posted her album date on the day of Cardi's album release, the whole timeline saw it and we're like, okay, this again.
Hmm.
But we kind of shot Nicki the bail of she didn't actually say anything. She can release her album date whenever she wants. It's just coincidental that it's on the same day as Cardi B's album release. And then we get all of this. And I think this is kind of where I am with this. And this is how I'm going to kind of wrap up my thoughts here. Is one, I think what Nicki has done is put Cardi on her level, which she shouldn't have done. I think
Mm.
all of this has made Nicki and Cardi almost equals and peers when
Ah.
this is not that should not be the case. You know, and I think that's something that Nicki has never been good at is like, Nicki, these are all like your kids, all of them.
Hmm.
And you need to act like that. You
Yes,
know,
she needs
but
to act like the elder statesman.
and she can't help herself. And I think of it where I'm like, you would not see Jay-Z acting like this to Drake, Kendrick, or Cole.
Hmm.
There's some subliminals on some records, stuff behind the scenes that may or may not happen, but you would never see this behavior. So that is the one I think where it really, really kind of bothers me that she has done that. But then two is Cardi B hopping in. I
Mm.
think Cardi B spent years being scared to put an album out, getting criticized online, people calling her a flop before an album even came out. And she put out this album that did what it was supposed to do. It
Hmm.
had hits on there, it has good records on there. She's still rapping well and it sold well. This is almost a comeback album from
Yes.
Cardi. So for her to have this great artistic moment and then kind of muddy it up with this, that is a big misstep for me with Cardi. And even though I still like the album, I think going forward in Cardi's career, I'm always going to remember that you spent 7 years coming back, and what you chose to do at that time was kind of go into this beef. And I think that to me is like a total misstep where you should find a way to be above that.
Yeah, I'm not super down on her for being in a beef because this happens in on the men in hip hop beefing constantly. So and it's
But
fine.
over Twitter is different. That's the thing. That's the thing I think we have to bring into this is over Twitter is very, if this was over like beats, like if this
Yeah.
was an actual keyword rap,
Hmm.
this whole thing is different. I think this being over tweets is what makes this so distasteful to me.
Oh, okay.
And
So,
so that's where I'm like, Cardi B shouldn't have got involved. If Nicki dropped a record,
okay,
different story. But I
okay.
think the tweets is where, again, you should not be involved because again, you would never see Jay-Z tweeting at J. Cole. And that was wouldn't happen. That
Jay-Z on
would
the
not
internet?
happen. Jay-Z on the internet. That is what so that to me is a sign of like, okay, she's not all the way there. And then for me especially, I think this is such a black mark on hip hop, especially women in hip hop,
I don't,
because
you're, wow. Okay, go ahead.
you haven't seen all the tweets then, because some of these tweets are going so far. Like, yes, the joke of like your kid's favorite color is five is one thing, but they're talking about family members being abusers. They're talking
Mm,
about kids with learning disabilities. Like, this
mm,
is crossing so many lines
mm.
that, and again, it being on Twitter. I think in rap is different because every company might not hear every rap. You might say something crazy in a rap, and that might not affect your brand deals. A brand Googles any of these tweets and sees the kind of language that they're using, the things they're saying, it's like this is not how we want hip hop to be viewed. And especially, hip hop is the number one genre where the goats, the elders, sometimes don't know how to behave. I think over the past 5 years, we've gotten way better at that.
Yeah,
Big credit to Versus has been a huge part of that as well.
true. Very
But
true.
we've very much grown in that. You see people like Cam and Mace as personalities now, and
Hmm.
Nori as well, Joe
Hmm.
Budden. Like, hip hop has grown in that, but Nicki is the leader amongst women, and this is not how a leader should behave, in my opinion.
I
So for
agree.
me, that's a huge black mark on it because there is so much of the narrative of women going against other women in hip hop,
I
and
agree.
this doesn't help that at
Yeah,
all. So not good.
yeah, I think just building on top of that, we are in a place in hip hop for women where there's a plethora. You know, you don't like Cardi B, you can go listen to Flo Milli, you can go listen to Doja Cat, you can go listen to City Girls, you can go listen to Meg. Like there is no need for this, you know, number one versus number two samurai type of shit to happen. Like that doesn't, it's not, that used to be a thing in hip hop, right? Where it was like there's only one head bitch and then like everybody else is like, you know, in the background. That's not a thing anymore. Like women in hip hop, it's so normalized and it's so varied that this beef shouldn't exist. Like what you're talking about being like an elder statesman or the leader, it's like Nicki should just be like, I'm the GOAT on this side. I'm literally in top 10, top 15 all time, whatever. I'm
I'm
chilling.
over here. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm chilling, you know? Like there is zero need for her to be attacking anybody for any reason. Like be the elder statesman. You're Jay-Z, Nas, etc. in this space, you know? Like you don't need to, it doesn't need to happen. I don't know how else to just say it other than that. It's like this, you're it's not even that you're above it, it's just that
No, that's
you're
exactly what it is. She's above
I
it.
don't know, but I don't think on a personal level she's above it. I don't think so because she's showing
No,
that
no,
obviously.
she doesn't know she's above
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
But
I think just in the hierarchy or like the history of hip hop, you're just like you don't need to be here. And it's not like in a bad way. It's just like you got the castle over there. Just go chill in the palace. You don't need to be out here in the field with everybody else. Like it's
yeah,
unnecessary.
I think, and I want to know what everyone thinks. Of course, you comment on Spotify now, comment on YouTube as well. Make sure you subscribe to us, Album Mode on YouTube. Where does everyone stand on this? Are you Team Nicki? Are you Team Cardi? Is there someone who's more wrong or right in the situation? Excuse me. That's where I want to know. Where do people stand on this? How do people feel? This feels like sad overall. And I had a tweet saying that, this is almost as bad as the Drake versus Kendrick beef, but it's
No.
it's just worse. But it's worse because it's only over tweets. I think when I talked to a lot of older people in hip hop, it's like the beef was fun for a lot of people on the internet and
Yeah.
everything that came out of it, of us being involved. But we could have had these guys both be ghosts without any allegations on them. We
Mm.
didn't need to have these kind of allegations be in wax forever on these two artists when it comes to Drake and Kendrick. And that's why J. Cole stepping out kind of looks so different now of like J. Cole would be the person who would have suffered the most from any of these allegations. He would look crazy with the allegations on his name. So it's like that just being a part of hip hop is something we didn't need to have. Obviously, there's a bunch of guys in hip hop who are not perfect. We've talked about it a bunch on this podcast. But I think when it comes to Cardi and Nicki, having that be in tweets and having them accuse each other is kind of my issue of like there's not that unity in the culture
Hmm.
in the same way because like to me, Nicki is in the Taylor Swift conversation. Like that is where Nicki really is.
In the
That's
2010s for sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like, but think about it. I don't know if Taylor Swift is a goat of her genre.
No, not even close.
Nicki's the goat. Nicki's the goat of her genre. You
Right.
know what I mean? So by doing those metrics, Nicki is right there with Taylor Swift to me. Like sales wise, different, whatever. But I'm sure if they both did a verses of tracks or both played the stadium, a lot of people know those Nicki songs maybe more than they know the Taylor songs.
Hmm.
So that's the group that she's in, and she's not acting like that. And so you have people in our own culture going against each other in a way that's unnecessary. So I'm personally disappointed. I wish this didn't happen, but we got some jokes out of it, I guess.
Hmm.
It is what it is. Let us know in the comments what you guys think. Are you Team Cardi? Are you Team Nicki? What are you guys thinking about this? And then let us know your thoughts about Diddy as well. 50 months, is that enough? I'm saying no. Demar's, of course, also saying no. Um, to me, either he should get life with no parole, or it should be such a sentence that when he comes out, if he comes out, he's
Hmm.
too old to live a life.
Right.
That would be, more acceptable for me. Guys, find us on the interwebs on all your favorite platforms, Album Mode Pod. Leave us a rating and review on all your podcast platforms. 5 stars, not a single star less. And of course, on YouTube, subscribe to us, like this video, leave us a comment. And until next time, know yourself, know your worth.
Later it is.